Sales group here. And what I thought I'd do today is give you a couple minutes background on who IronSpeed is and what we've done. Just touch on some of the technology high points of the tool, and then turn things over to Bill. And Bill will be able to dig into the tool in depth and give you a good sense of what IronSpeed can do for you. IronSpeed was founded back in 1999. We were the first to market in the .NET RAD functionality, with Rapid Application Development Tools. We were then and continue to be now the category leader in that market. And we have literally thousands of users and applications in a variety of vertical markets. Things like government, nonprofit, healthcare, transportation, logistics. Essentially any industry that is very data intensive, that's database critical, tends to be a very good market for IronSpeed. In terms of features, I just want to touch on a couple of the high points. One of the reasons you're here as a DBA is IronSpeed is very database driven. And by that we mean the database is really the blueprint for your web application. IronSpeed looks at the schema, looks at the properties of the database, the foreign keys, and based upon that initial information, literally builds a web application for you. Now we know that right out of the box it's not going to be perfect. You're going to want to change that. So we provide a set of tools for you to use to customize the application. That's both at the user interface level as well as the business logic level. That will probably cover 80, 90, 95% of your application. There may be some time when you want to drop down even further. So one of the great things about IronSpeed is that it also allows you to get at your source code. There's no black box with IronSpeed. There's never a point at which you can't reach down and get into the source code of the application. So if you can work in C# or VB, you can always get at whatever code you generate. We think that's a very powerful feature of the tool. A final element I wanted to touch on was the professional design. As a database developer, you're not in the business of designing websites, but we have people who are. So when we create the templates for you, we create templates that are very professional, very contemporary in appearance. One of the great things about that is you get a very professional format throughout the entire breadth of your application. One of the reasons we think you may be here is that as a DBA, sometimes there is a disparity between what's happening, in your department and what's happening in the application development group. You may get a database done on time, flip it over to the app dev folks who are busy fighting other fires. So what happens? Well, it sits there for a while. By the time they're able to get to your application, often the requirements have changed or another business situation has come up. So what happens? Well, you have to go back and you have to redo your database. That costs time and money, and that actually puts many projects in peril. What we want to do is allow you to contribute beyond that, to use your skills as a database developer, leverage that functionality to enable you to literally build a complete web application yourself. That's what IronSpeed does. Once again, it allows you to leverage your skills in the database side, give you a complete tool set to manipulate that to quickly create a great web application. And that's what folks like the people at Walt Disney, Nestle, Providence, Honeywell, a variety of industries are doing right now. And with that, I'll turn things over to Bill.
Good morning, everyone. I guess I get to tell you what it really can do. Remember, IronSpeed Designer is a rapid application development tool for web applications. We build web applications. You can build a prototype in not exactly no time, but you'll be amazed at how fast you can turn out the samples. You can generate straight from your schema, select the tables you want, and develop in iterations. IronSpeed Designer is very much an iterative development tool. It builds web applications straight from your database. And so for today, we have a database that we're looking at as a sample. This is the order management database called Southwind. It's a sample of Microsoft's, and it's distributed with IronSpeed Designer. We can actually go look at it and see the database we're going to use. Oh, and who cares about my recovered files? I don't want those. But what I do want is on my local SQL server to find my Southwind database, and I've already been through the database diagram, so we can show you what we have. And there we go. So the order management database contains the essentials and all the good elements of database design for making moderate-sized samples. You have an order table, an order details table. Along with that, of course, the underlying products and their categories, and support tables for suppliers, also shippers. Along with that, we also have the connected customers and the connected sales reps. And along with the sales reps, we have security information for sales rep roles and roles. So we'll keep that available. You can always go into your database at any time while you're working, but we're going to continue with creating an application from that database. That was our requirement. I'm going to start by showing you the application we created to demonstrate what you can do with IronSpeed Designer. And so we'll take a look here. If I can get this out from under the webinar window, we'll go to the IronSpeed Designer website, and right there we'll find our sample applications. And this sample application, the order management system, was constructed from the database we just looked at with IronSpeed Designer completely and no hand coding. Let's take a look at it. It consists of really three sections. There's the main pages, which really are the heart of what you're at, the orders, the sales reps, and the customers. Then there's the administrative section where you can get at your categories and products. And then there's the security section. And when we get through talking about that, I want to remind you to go ahead and get your questions in. This is supposed to be an interactive webinar, and we look for questions. Anything you want to know about what we're talking about today, I'll be glad to talk about it and direct our conversation. So meanwhile, we can go back to our website, look at let's take a live look through the database. Now this is a sample. The application was developed in IronSpeed Designer completely. It's live on the web, and it allows you to make changes on the web. So what we've done is we've taken the back-end database, which is an access database, because that gives us a chance to swap in the original database every couple of hours. So anybody can do anything they want with this database, and it will go ahead and reset to its original state every couple of hours. So there's never quite knowing for sure what you're going to encounter. We have the sales reps. We can look at the sales rep table. We can also look at the customers. And you'll notice we can also edit any of the customers. We can delete records. And we can see here the child records, or we can collapse them and look at just the table presentation. Along with this, since there's geographic information, we have maps that interface with Google Maps. And the other part of our main pages is the orders. So the three things that are really the heart of your application, your sales reps, your customers, and your orders, are all in the main section. And along with that also comes the analytics, the graphs, which give you a quick broad brush picture of what's in your database. Then you can dive down into your admin section if you have to maintain some of your products, your categories, your suppliers, your shippers, or you can go to your main menu and, oh sorry, not the main menu, I was going to go to security, and this is the dullest and most boring part of the application, but it's still essential that you be able to maintain your sales reps, the roles that go along with them. Now, this application has security implemented, although no pages are secured. It's easy to do, and we'll talk about that in a little while. So I hear some questions coming off, and that's my brief presentation, a walk through the sample database we're going to be talking about today. So Jill's doing her work. Not only did I get one question, I get a whole handful. Why should I use IronSpeed and not LightSwitch? It depends on what level you want to go to in your application. LightSwitch gives you the ability to focus on a particular model. Is not focused on the presentation as much as IronSpeed. I think you'll find IronSpeed's presentations, the user interface layer, much more polished, but they're both good tools for attacking the lever that you want. Either one is going to give you the ability to get at your application. LightSwitch is part of Visual Studio, and IronSpeed Designer works essentially hand in glove with Visual Studio, so you won't encounter anything else. Peter, you got some ideas on that? You are on the sales side, see that more than I do, actually, because we work with IronSpeed Designer all the time.
Phil, I guess what I would add to that is that IronSpeed's been in the market.
We can't hear you, Peter.
Bill, what I would add to that is that IronSpeed's been on the market for close to 10 years. So IronSpeed's a very, very full-featured product, and I think you look at LightSwitch, it's been out for a few months. When you look at the functionality of IronSpeed, when you look at the ability to customize any element of your application, a lot of my customers turn to a third-party tool like IronSpeed because they can get that complete functionality and they can access every element of their application, as opposed to generating perhaps a quick and dirty app that may not live long within the corporation.
Thanks, Peter. And I also had one of our listeners, Beth, point out that LightSwitch uses Silverlight, which I didn't even know because I haven't tried LightSwitch for much yet. And I've built a couple Silverlight applications. I like it, but I'm not sure how long Microsoft's going to keep it around. And we're all, if you like Silverlight, you are worried about that. Next, how do I monitor security? I'm not sure what you mean by monitor. IronSpeed Designer gives you the ability to get into and set the security at all levels of your application. If you have a clarification or more details you want, William, let me know, and I'll try and cover it there. How about a live demo of building an app that connects on an online MySQL database with PCs and mobile users who can edit, add, browse the DB? Well, the sample application we have, which I just showed you on our website, also has mobile pages. I believe they're there. And if you take your mobile device and go to that web URL, which is right here, then you'll find, actually, you don't have to go to that one if you want to start. Just go to the main menu, go to this URL that you see up here, and you'll see this. Only you'll see it in a web page that's designed for your mobile app. We won't do another database here, so I'm not going to do the MySQL database, but I am going to go through and show you how we use IronSpeed Designer to actually create this application. That's after we get through with questions here. Can we build any web app with different functionalities, or it is only a few specifics? IronSpeed Designer builds .NET web applications. They're completely .NET. You can do anything in a web application with IronSpeed Designer that you can do with .NET. Now, we have a large range of built-in functionality that we can give you. That's terribly easy, just clicking buttons. But in the end, you can hook up with Visual Studio and make your application do anything you want that you can do in .NET. So really the world is yours. It depends on how much effort you want to make. Can we build any web app with different functionalities? Or there's only a few specifics. Same question. I hope I answered it, Steve. Can IronSpeed help to build report interfaces quickly? I would like to provide end users a way to perform limited ad hoc queries in a nice wrapper. Yes, we have facilities for reporting, and you can use any of the third-party reporting tools. IronSpeed Designer interfaces with Crystal Reports, but also for quick and dirty reports, we have a page template that allows you to just present the information. It doesn't present all the pretty features. It presents just a tabular representation, which is good for a lot of quick and dirty reports. What are the databases that it supports? IronSpeed Designer works with 3 Microsoft databases, SQL Server, SQL Server Compact, and Access. It also works with Oracle, and it works with MySQL.
And I have another question from Joan asking if there's any discount for the listeners of this webcast. And we do offer a discount. It's a 10% discount on IronSpeed for today only. So if you want to take advantage of that, please let us know.
Okay. Oh, we got one more. I was just ready to go on. We're ready to start the next part here, but we'll wait for the one to come through. And I want to thank you all for being so awake this morning. This is great to have everybody coming in with their questions so early. Can IronSpeed make ADA compliant applications? Yes, we can. IronSpeed Designer has a number of features that are built in to allow you to get assistance for ADA applications. Let's go on from here and create the application. So we're going to use IronSpeed Designer. I just showed you the application, but we're going to use IronSpeed Designer in particular. We're going to come over here, and I can get this Management Studio out of my way a little bit. We're going to use IronSpeed Designer 9.2. And you can keep submitting the questions. We'll get to them when we get through this demonstration. We're going to start IronSpeed Designer. It does require administrative permissions on your machine. And to do that, here we go. Now, this is version 9.2, which is the current one, and which you can download yourself. We want to encourage you to download your own trial version. Go to the IronSpeed website and not only look at the sample applications, but go to get your own trial copy. You get a trial key that goes with IronSpeed Designer, and so you can use it right away. And you can use it to look through the sample applications, which are also downloadable and from exactly the same place where we went to look at it. Okay, we have IronSpeed Designer in its startup. Let's say we want to create an application. So we'll start the application wizard, and now we want to go figure out which template we want. Well, this is the template that was used to build the order management system, so we'll go ahead and use that. And we'll go ahead and use the SQL Server version of the database. I don't know if it's going to read. Sometimes we have to tell it to find things, and even then it might not find them right away. We'll see how my network and computer are doing today. But now it didn't locate any database, so we'll go to the old typing method and see what we can find. Okay. We found our local host. And we'll look at our Southwind database. And we'll take first, we're going to build the core of the application. So remember I said that was the orders table, the sales reps table. Well, before that, we'll select one of the tables. Then we'll find out which sets of pages we want to build. So, okay. This is acting up on me. Here it goes. We're going to build an add record page, an edit record page, the group by page. The group by page is the one that gives you the child tables along with a a record, and we use that in the application, and we'll build the show record page. We'll also build all 4 mobile pages. Actually, we won't build the add and edit record mobile pages because we don't want the records changed to mobile. We want them just viewed mobile. So that gives us a set of 6 pages, which are the core, and will include not only the orders, but the sales reps and the customers, our 3 core tables. Having selected that, we can go on. We don't have any virtual keys we want to add right now since this database was well constructed ahead of time. IronSpeed Designer builds multilingual web applications, and you can choose other languages that the fixed text in your application will be presented in if the user chooses. We're going to add one just for demonstration today. We don't have one. We don't have multiple language selections on the sample database that's on the web, but we'll add one here just so you can see how it works. We'll add Dutch so that our users will be able to see the fixed text of our application either in English or Dutch. And we're going to call this My App, but we're going to not put it in my testing since we don't want it. I have a place where I put all this training stuff. We'll see if I can find it. Wrong. Here we go. Come on. So we'll find my training, and we'll find the DBA training, and we'll put it in here. And before we go look, we'll see how many. I only have one that I made there, so we'll make this one 2. And we're going to select the type of application we build. Website is just fine for us. We're going to build it in Visual Basic. You can also build it in C# if you want. We happen to use Visual Basic around here. And we'll build it in the 3.5 framework. You can also build it in 4.0. For development purposes, I didn't mention that, but for development purposes, I always put things in inline SQL rather than using stored procedures. We don't. And then near the end of the development of the application, you can use stored procedures, which is especially important for large data sets when you want the database to do as much work as possible. So we're ready with our application. Here's what we're going to build, just the core of the sample that we looked at. We click Finish, and we let IronSpeed Designer go ahead and chug through, looking at your schema, creating the data access layer, creating a business layer. It will also, before it runs the application, create your code behind files. I have it set so that it just creates the layout files first, doesn't create the code behind files, and then I'll build the application to go ahead and create the code behind files. And you'll notice here in the sample we have the customers pages that we're looking at, and here are the pages that we asked for. We also have the section for orders, which has the same set of pages, and the sales reps, which has the same set of pages. Given that, we've built everything, we'll go ahead and run it. Our start page will be our customers page. And that was just because alphabetically the customers came first, which is all we know about right now in IronSpeed Designer to make that choice. But I'll show you, like everything else, and like Peter mentioned, IronSpeed Designer, we realize you want to change, and so we've made it terribly easier. So here we have our application. Now you notice we don't have our maps. Those were added with formulas, but we have the core of our application, and already in just a few minutes appearing nicely to give us to work on. So let's take a look at this. The very first thing we want to do is put these menus in order the way we wanted them. So let's go back to Designer. Now IronSpeed Designer gives you menu panels, and you can configure your menu just in the right-click menu. And so the first thing we'll want to do is rearrange our menus. not only can you rearrange, but you can delete, add, remove. You have complete functionality to do this. Now we have it in the order we wanted to see it, and we can go ahead and build it again. Go back to our web application, which is over here, and reload it. And you'll notice our menus are in order. So that's the quick and dirty process of what it takes. Now what we do is we change the master page to now do another section. Each section has its own master page, basically a copy of the first, and then we would do the admin section, and then we do the security section. But we have limited time today, and we want to take care of your questions. So let's go back, look and see what we've got to say here. The other thing that I didn't do, and I want to do right now, is I wanted to show you how easy it was to deal with security. So we'll look at the security wizard, which is here. We have our sets of pages for the 3 tables. We'll go to the security wizard. Now we're going to add database security. The security information is in the database, and all we care about is whether the users are logged in. So we'll go ahead and leave off roles. We don't have any roles, although there is a roles table. And so since this database comes with Iron Speed Designer, if you download and install the version of Iron Speed Designer with your trial key, you'll get this database, and you can build it yourself just for practice. And that's the good thing about Iron Speed Designer, is you can practice as many times as you want. It's quick to do. You can see instant results and really try out all the things you want to see. For the security, we have the Southwind database. We're going to be using the sales rep table. We're going to be using for demonstration purposes, instead of the email address, this is a good set of criteria for what's going to be used for the security information if you want it secure. But I don't want it secure. I want it easy to use. So I'm going to make the last name be my username and the last name be my password. That way I can't forget it. Now we could also, if you want to have the user presented with a link where they can have their security information emailed to them, and there's an email field in the information where in the table you're using, then you can include that here, and if you did that, then the link would be in your page. But that's also an extra configuration because it uses a Google CAPTCHA, and you have to get that service from Google to use it. Now, so we have configured our security information, how we want to use it. We're going to configure a page here. We're going to configure the Add Customer page so that you can't get into the Add Customer page unless it's signed in. This is just for demonstration purposes. In a real application, you would choose your set of things that you want to be secured, and you'd secure the whole group. But for demonstration, this will work just fine. Once we select what we want, we set it so that we see the permissions, and then we can go ahead and go to the end, finish the security wizard. It will now add security to all the pages in the application, but only securing the ones that we're interested in. Not only can you add security at this level, the obvious place to secure pages, but you can use the security in the property sheet for your controls so that if I go to any one of my pages here, let's take a look at this. We'll go to a page, we'll go to look at a field, and we can go to that field, look at its properties, and you'll see a security property where you can set the individual property for any of the fields. Well, we've got our application that's built, so let's go back to the application here and reload it again, make sure we have the latest code. And when we do that, we'll try taking a look at the customers page. Here we have customers. Let's try to add a customer. And you find out it's not going to let us do it until we go ahead and log in. So I happen to know who's in this database, so I can log in for them. And now we see the Add Customers page. And so you see how easy it is to just go ahead and add security, and you have the flexibility to add it any ways you want. And that's the point we're trying to make about IronSpeed Designer. And at this point, I think we're ready to take a look at, we did the demo, and now we'll look at the questions. You got all those, Peter? That's good. Peter and I have got a large stack, telephone book-like stack of questions for us.
Let me jump in if I could, Bill.
Go ahead.
Give you a little bit of rest. Joan asks if there are any limitations to the trial. For all of you out there, IronSpeed does provide a free trial of IronSpeed. You can go to www.ironspeed.com to download that. There are some limitations. There's no time limit to the trial, but you're limited to the number of builds, to 100 builds that you have. And there's also some limitation to functionality. So what you'll see is most of the screens are black, are functional, but some advanced features are grayed out. And what that means is that you cannot test that function using your own database. However, you can test that function using one of our sample databases. And that leads into Lawan's question, does the trial version allow me to test security using Active Directory? That's one of the advanced functions. So the answer is yes. You can test IronSpeed with Active Directory. Just test it using your sample database instead of your own database. I do encourage everyone out there, though, to download the trial. Check it out. There's nothing like having it on your own system and pointing it at your own database to see what IronSpeed can really do. Scott asks if anyone has used IronSpeed for clinical trial data. If you go to our website, we have, on the left-hand nav bar, we have a section called Customers. And there are, gosh, I think about 60 or 70 case studies there describing the various applications built in IronSpeed. A number in healthcare. Scott, I don't know offhand if there's a case study on clinical trial data there. I can tell you experientially we have worked with organizations that have gathered trial data. And that's one of the reasons why they went to IronSpeed was the mobile functionality that we enable there as well. Juan also asks if you can modify the database through the web app. Is it possible to work with live databases from our ERP, such as SAP? That's a pretty common use for IronSpeed, is to be able to log into the database, add and modify information directly through IronSpeed, as opposed to having go through the enterprise application. So the answer there is yes, and it's a great use of IronSpeed as well. And finally, Fernando asked, does it work only in the Windows environment? What about the Mac? We love the Mac, but IronSpeed is a .NET application, .NET being published by Microsoft. So to the degree that the Mac supports .NET and Windows, yes, but it really is a Windows environment.
Well, let me talk about the question I got from RL, which is right along the same line. It's about, he's an Oracle DBA and uses Linux. I use Linux on some of my websites too, but then I don't use IronSpeed Designer because IronSpeed Designer, as I said, Peter said, works in a .NET environment, so that's, and by limiting it to that, we were able to do as much as we've done. The more broadly you cover things, the less deep your features go. So unfortunately, we can't run on Linux, although somebody will then tell me, oh yeah, I use this conversion tool, etc., but we don't support any of that, although you're welcome to try. It does require a .NET environment. Steve says that the screens look like a tabular format. Yes, the ones I showed you definitely do, Steve. Is there a way to create fill-in forms that replicate current paper documents? Yes, there certainly are, and actually we can go to the application itself. Let's just take a look at the sales reps and go back, because remember there is an edit. I didn't show you the edit page, but the edit page is a true form editor. It shows you the form for the sales representative and allows you to fill in the information. There are also tabular form pages, which I didn't show you, but which you can use when you go to the application wizard and you look at the pages that are available. You'll see, let's just pick a page here, go to the categories, and there is an edit table page, which is the tabular form for editing all the contents of a table. So it's multiple records on the same page. This is a little faint, but you see this is text box, and these are all forms for editing these records. SQL Server Express Edition is not listed. Ryan, now you're right. I didn't mention Express Edition. We classify Express Edition as just another SQL server, and yes, you can use Express Edition. And in general, if you want to know where or what's available, really what IronSpeed Designer works with, then the thing to do, let me get rid of this extra sales rep here and go back to this. We can go back to sample apps, but this is our website, and you can go to the system requirements page available in technical materials here, and once you look at the system requirements, you can see in all the gory detail all the things that IronSpeed Designer works with, requires, et cetera, the usual system requirements IronSpeed Designer covers right there, and you can see what the current state of affairs is. The Catalan language is available, Joan asked. Well, let's take a look at our, yes it is, I believe we have one. IronSpeed Designer, let me show you the translation actually. Whoops, I want this part, I want to go back to our website. Here we go. Now we built an application. It had a translation. It had Dutch available. So in the widget, we get translations for English or Dutch. So if I pick Dutch, I will see that I get the fixed text of the application. That is the text that's not part of the database. Remember, the sales representative, these names are part of the database. We don't do active translation. We do fixed, again, here also not translated because it's a part of the database. But the fixed text that's part of the application is translated into the language you want. Now, this is all done by a set of resource files. So if we diverge for just a minute, we'll go to the place where IronSpeed Designer is installed, my 9.2, and we'll look at our base classes. Oh. And see that we have a number of, these are all ResX templates. These are XML files that are resource files that contain the translations for your text. Let's just take a look at one. See if it gives you the idea. And so in our resource files, after the prologue, you'll see all the translations that are available. So somebody's name, when we look at the particular code, then we see this translation. And that's the way it's done. So given this template, you can take any language you know and fill in this template with your translations. And so you're not limited to what IronSpeed Designer gives you. You can have anything you want. We give you the templates. We give you a bunch of them pre-filled, and Catalan, I'm sure, is one of them. But you're not limited to just those. You can have anything you want that you want to do the work for. Okay, let's see. Some legacy apps don't have primary key, foreign key relationships. Are those required? IronSpeed Designer works from your database, and it works only with the knowledge in your database. So the more you can tell it, the better off your application is going to be. You definitely want to include primary key, foreign key relationships if you know them. but they don't have to be built into the database. IronSpeed Designer has a primary key, virtual primary key wizard, and a virtual foreign key wizard, where you can go ahead and define those yourself. Let me go back to IronSpeed Designer. We'll get back out of it. And that was indeed the key step. It makes suggestions actually, but since there weren't any missing in this database, it didn't have any suggestions to make. So let's go look at what the database's new primary key. You have two wizards, virtual primary key, virtual foreign key. You can take one. You can tell it which table you want related to which, and which fields in that table are a primary key, and it will make that a primary key in your database. But it won't make it in a database. It will only make it in this application. So anytime you use this application, IronSpeed Designer will use it as if it had that foreign key, but it won't make any changes to your database. So you're safe defining whatever key relationships you want just for the purposes of your application. And that all comes out here in this important tab, which I haven't shown you yet, but which you need to know about. In Designer, you have the Application Explorer, which lets you look at your pages, but it also lets you look at your database and its property. Once it's read the database, here's our Southwind database and the tables and the views that are included with it. Now, none of the views have been included in the application. I could right-click on those and say include in the application, then they would be included in the data access layer. Right now, they aren't. But the properties are all here. And same with our tables. Let's look at our customers. We have our customers, all the fields, and the properties in here. If I have the customer ID, now this is a primary key field, and it indeed is marked as primary key. You can also assign virtual foreign keys and virtual primary keys here in the database layer if you need to. So you have complete freedom and the flexibility to do that. Okay, talked about that one for enough, I guess. Any C#, C++. We support all the .NET languages. C++ is what you call an unmanaged language. And so we don't have direct support of it, but we do support C#. And so the thing to do is to hopefully that working in C# won't be too big a change. It'll mean you can't do some things you could do in C++, but C# we found very good, and we have lots of customers that use C#. You have questions, or is there more? We got more. I'm sitting here answering questions, and Peter's.
We have a couple more. Both Naresh and Laura ask if we'll be providing a copy of this webinar, and the answer is yes. If you go to our video page, you'll see the video on that about towards the end of the week. And Jill adds that you'll be getting the URL to that page later on this morning. Also, Naresh asks where the video page is. If you go to the left-hand nav, www.ironspeed.com, you'll see IronSpeed videos along the nav page. And we have approximately 80 videos. They really cover just about everything that can be covered via video about IronSpeed. Tanya asks, how customizable is the application to accommodate the corporate logo and style? Tanya, that's one of the most common changes. In fact, I'd say virtually every company wants to add their own branding and corporate logo. Typically, that's done through the CSS style sheet, and that's very easy to access through IronSpeed, and that, of course, gives you some global changes. You can also go in and customize any page specifically. Joan asks about our version 10. We're currently on version 10, and she asks, when's it going to be available, and what are the new features? I suggest, once again, if you go to the left nav bar, you'll see towards the bottom, you'll see something called the product roadmap. That gives you an indication of features and technologies that we're working on. Before we release the product, we're hesitant to set any expectations, so we try to give you a broad brush of what IronSpeed will be coming out with, and then we'll notify you as that is due to release. With regard to version 10, we're on version 9.2 right now. We're looking at version 10, we hope, in the near future, but I'm afraid I can't pin it down any further than that. Bill, do you want to take over?
Okay, thanks. Yes, from an engineering point of view, I'll tell you we would like to have version 10 out tomorrow. It won't be out tomorrow because it's not ready yet, and we will put out no release before it's time. We want to make sure you get good quality product. Is it possible to customize pages during the development process and keep them integrated with the auto-generated one? Yes, exactly. In both layout and in code, it is possible to customize pages. That's a topic for another webinar. But yes, the paradigm used by IronSpeed Designer makes it very clear that you can include your own customizations. They're never lost when we rebuild. We rebuild the fixed parts of the pages and leave your customizations alone, and same with layout. Within Access 2007 and 2010, does it import a web DB or a normal client DB? How does it convert macros within the IronSpeed Designer uses the database, the data part of the database. It doesn't convert macros. It doesn't convert forms of access. It doesn't really convert an access database. It uses the data access layer to access the data in your access database. So what you'll get when you use an access database is the data that's available. Is there a feature that integrates security auditing of fields? This would be used to meet HIPAA requirements. We haven't modified IronSpeed Designer to specifically address HIPAA requirements, although we have had lots of people use it for security fields and for auditing. We do provide change fields and date and change fields that are routinely maintained, and we even have a wizard, the Batchmeister wizard, which allows you to maintain those fields throughout your database all at once. How is it possible to show a business intelligence, I think that's what you mean by BI, is business intelligence reporter from SQL Server? That I don't know, Julio. I haven't done one of that. If it's in SQL Server and you can do it in a .NET web application, I'm sure you can do it, but we don't have a standard way to do that, so you would customize it the normal way and include it in your web application just like you would in any other web application. Well, Crystal Reports is the same thing. We actually have a code customization wizard which gives you the ability to develop your report and then you can include it in your application. So that's available, and they're an important place to go for all these kind of things with IronSpeed Designer is to our online help. When you have a question about the technical details of IronSpeed Designer and what you can do or how to do something, start with the online help. There are lots of other resources we'll talk about near the end, but this is important anytime you have something to ask about IronSpeed Designer. Not much of a trial if I don't have MS SQL Server. Well, actually the trial comes with, I think what you mean is how do you get really try something with the version you get with the trial key if you don't have SQL Server. And actually Peter mentioned that we give you full functionality with the database, with the access databases that come with it. Those are the sample databases. But we also give you 100 builds with any database that IronSpeed Designer is compatible with. So if you have a MySQL database, if you have an Oracle database, you can use those to build your application. You're limited to 100 builds. You can't build it forever because we're giving it to you free, but you can see and test anything you want in those databases. Can the page layout be customized? It certainly can. Can new layouts be created? They certainly can. A page, let's just take a look at a page here for a minute. I was in the master page section, and so let's see. We're coming along in time, so we're going to look at it very briefly. Where you can take any page, you can create a new page with a new master page, and they have a blank master page. The page itself, let's look at our group by page here. The page is many sections. includes a master page. Always starts with a master page, includes the page itself, and then any panels that are used. This uses just the table panel, and then the table control, and then the panels in that control. All that, you can use any part to customize it. Let's just go to our fields. All these can be dragged and dropped. You look at the right-click menu and see the things you can do. You can insert rows, columns, merge columns, remove rows and columns, change things. All these things can be dragged around, moved to someplace else. And so, plus, we have a whole toolbox that gives you any number of tools that you can use to put into your application. And here's the data back tools in the reports and forms section. Here's the ASPX and other controls, in particular all the ASPX controls. These are all things you can use in your application. So yes, you can customize it any way you want. I know this is outside the scope of the class, but I spent hours looking for the map field option in version 9.2, map field option. Tell you what, Beth, thanks for attending. You put in a support case to me later, and I'll answer that question for you. And let me get on with our slides. We're going to wrap up telling you where you go to learn more. Peter mentioned the video. I tried to show you where to find it on the website. In there, you'll get 24/7 access to all our videos. We have lots more training courses. We have one every Friday when you want to get into details. I've tried to avoid a lot of details because this wasn't for IronSpeed Designer users. It was for introduction to IronSpeed Designer. But come every Friday, I'll talk about the details of preparing and customizing an application. So anybody's welcome to that, and we have others, intermediate and advanced and third-party training courses you can attend. Be sure and check our website. I mentioned the online help. When you have a question, a detailed question about IronSpeed Designer, ask it first in help. Use the other help resources, but ask it first in help. This is a Google-type search that searches not only our over 1,000 pages of help, but it also searches our technical forum content. So you can also sign up for the technical forum, interact with our users, and there's no requirements for that. You don't even have to have a copy of IronSpeed Designer, although it's pretty hard to ask questions about Designer without having it. Anyway, so we have an excellent technical forum and a great group of users. And we have our lovely sales reps. These guys know what they're talking about. Peter is just one example here of the sales reps that you'll encounter at IronSpeed that really know their products. Peter, what else? And I was told that when we see this, make sure to remind you that you want to download IronSpeed Designer today. And if you go to the sample application, you can even download the sample application from the website where we were showing it to you earlier, so you can see everything you've seen today. Peter?
Thank you, Bill. Once again, I want to encourage you to download IronSpeed. It's a great product and very easy to download the trial. Just go to www.ironspeed.com, and you'll see a green download button on our front page. So it's that easy. Within the sales group, Tom asked a great question, one that we love. That is the cost of the product for inclusion in a business plan. He says he's a startup. There are a number of ways to work with IronSpeed. We have just a full perpetual license as well as a subscription. The perpetual license.
Oh, sorry. I think Peter, try your.
Am I on?
No, I can't hear you.
Speaking of sales.
Okay. Well, what Peter was trying to tell you was that there are a number of ways to work with IronSpeed Designer. So in particular, we have both a perpetual license and a subscription license. And if Peter gets a headset that's
there we
working,
go.
There we go.
There we go.
I
have
you
a
can go ahead and tell them about it.
There are two ways to buy IronSpeed. You can get a perpetual license, as Bill mentioned. That's a full license, perpetual, that comes with both a year of tech support and a year of maintenance. The cost of that is $26.95. and there are other options for longer support periods as well. The second option would be great for a startup. Tom asked, what's the cost of the product? Gee, I'm a startup and I wanted to use it in my business plan. We have a subscription program that's great for that. The subscription program costs $249 per month, and you can cancel at any time. There's full functionality with the subscription, so you can do everything that you can do with the perpetual license. And anything that you build with the subscription will continue to run even after you suspend or cancel the sub. So for a startup, if you're doing a business plan, what you may do is run the subscription for a month or two, build your software out, suspend the subscription until you're ready to go to phase 2 of your project, and then you can start up again, or you can get a perpetual license at that time.
Okay. Any questions over there that we haven't addressed, Peter?
Yeah, Bill, I've got a couple for you here.
Okay, good. I got some more here. And Joan asked, does this use MVC? IronSpeed has its own, as you saw, has its own paradigm for using the code in the database underneath. It prepares its own database data access layer long before MVC existed, and so MVC is another way of doing that, and you get that. You can use that in Visual Studio, but it's not the way IronSpeed Designer prepares its data access layer. Do you have a comparison chart of IronSpeed versus Alpha 5? No, I don't think we do. We don't, in general, have comparison charts against our competitors. We let you do that. There's many aspects of the comparison, but I think we give you the tools to try IronSpeed Designer and decide for yourself if it really does what you need, or sure, it does what you need because it builds a .NET web application, but is it what you want to work with, and is it the thing that you want to build? And when you take a look at the applications, I think you'll be able to make your own decision. Please explain interactivity. How a user can upload documents, participate in bidding process, send emails. Mike, that's a great topic, but it's way more than we were going to cover today. IronSpeed Designer, I will mention, does have the ability of forms or controls you can add to your forms, to your pages. They aren't really forms, although I guess you could call them that. They're form-based, but you can take a blank page and put on anything, any set of images, text boxes, controls, whatever you want out of the toolbox, and so you can construct your own thing. The important part for what Mike is talking about here is IronSpeed Designer has forms that allow you to upload files. It has forms for sending you email, not forms, but controls for sending email. And so with that, we have sets of workflow pages, which I think, Mike, is the kind of thing you're looking for. Is SS SQL Server reporting services supported? Not directly. We support SQL Server, but we don't have any direct interface, and we don't do anything special for SQL Server reporting services. So that would be interface, any communication you'll be constructed strictly with Visual Studio, and customization, which you can do.
Azar, I would add to that if you go to our user forum and type in SSRS or SQL Server Reporting Services, you'll see several threads of folks that have done some customization with SQL Server Reporting Services.
Joan asked about IronSpeed Designer versus ASP.NET Maker. I haven't ever seen that. Peter, have you seen that?
We've run across all of them. Once again, we were the first to come out in the market, and that's one reason why we don't run the comparisons. We love to see IronSpeed and other folks' comparisons, even if they're not necessarily accurate. But we have run across that particular application. Our experience has been that every tool has its assets. If you're looking for enterprise-level web application development, if you're looking for full functionality and complete customizability, that's where IronSpeed has really been a great shining example. And just while I'm here, Lawan was asking, is there a government discount? Yes, there is, Luan. Please get in touch with your sales rep. I'm pharvey@ironspeed.com. Feel free to shoot an email to me, and I can send you our government discount table.
Steve asked, can we do ad hoc reports dashboards? And yes, we can. Actually, in the sample application we viewed today, you could view the analytics page as a reports dashboard. That is a summary of the data. All those parts of the form or the charts were clickable, and so it would get you to other data underneath it. So I think that's what you're talking about, Steve, and IronSpeed Designer does that very well. You got any more, Peter?
Just a final comment from Tom. He says, you guys were little too. Love your story. Thanks, Tom. Yes, IronSpeed was born out of necessity. IronSpeed was used to build our company and actually another company as well. So it's a very practical tool and one we think you guys will really like.
Thank you all very much for coming today. We enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the questions. I love the questions, and so thank you very much for all your participation. And we hope we'll see you back at another webinar another time.